my name is Lizzie. Each week I'm bringing along different origami folds and encouraging you to take some time out for yourself, some self-care time. Now, origami will encourage you to completely focus on simply paper and getting your head around something new. It's almost like a little puzzle, and I think the trick is just to go slowly and calmly and kindly. And by doing that, you're also slowing yourself down, you're calming yourself, you're finding out what's possible with so little. You'll forget everything else because it requires such concentration, and all you need is a piece of paper. So this week I'm bringing along something quite different. Last week actually I brought along the Froebel star, which I love and been fascinated because this is all credited to Friedrich Froebel, not necessarily invented by him but associated with Friedrich Froebel. And it's interesting because we tend to think of origami as coming from Japan, but of course paper folding has been enjoyed across the world, and Friedrich Froebel has had a huge impact actually on all of us. So he's from Germany, born in 1782, and a fascinating life. He was originally doing forestry, mathematician, looked after crystals in a museum, and then focused on education. And he came up with the concept of kindergarten, such a lovely phrase, children's garden, the idea of growing like plants, flourishing, and this idea of being very playful, learning through play, and actually that interaction with objects of building and making is very much how we learn, and I think that continues through life. So he used paper folding as well. It's unclear whether these things have originally come from him or not, but certainly I think giving that credit and that association is really lovely. So I would say this isn't really kindergarten stuff. It's really quite complex. Certainly the Froebel style is really complicated, but beautiful. It's like a piece of weaving with paper. So maybe you'll be brave and give that a go. But this week I'm bringing along something called the Froebel squares, and as mentioned, he used paper folding, and this is all, I love this idea. He was interested in transformation, this idea of taking something, which play is all about, transforming things through your imagination. So what we're going to do, these are 25 that I've made, but apparently there are hundreds and hundreds of patterns you can find. So it's from a very simple little fold, which actually you do within Japanese origami as well, and experimenting. The trick really is to have a piece of paper that's coloured on one side and white on the other. So in this case, I've been very lucky. I've got some lovely origami paper, and they come in different colours, actually from Korea, and it adds just a lovely element to it. But you can use any paper. Probably for the patterns to show up, it's good if you've coloured one side, or if you can find maybe something like wrapping paper, because that's got a colour on one side and white on the other. I will show you just by briefly colouring in one side, so you absolutely could do that if you had felt tips or pens. That's another way of doing things. So just experiment. So I was putting it out there and asking people which ones they liked. There are so many more to find, but this was the favourite actually, this little lilac one down here. And I'm going to also show this one, which was another favourite, which is really Chrysanthemum, and actually from traditional Japanese origami. But again, I think if you're playing with paper, you'd find these things with time anyway, wherever you were or wherever your origins were in the world, which is, it's about science and it's about physics and maths, I guess, but it's about playing with materials and seeing what happens. So we're going to make these two. I thought we'll just do two because actually I want to encourage you to take your time rather than feeling you've got to tick through many possibilities. So let's enjoy going slowly with these two, and I can maybe share others at other times. But most of all, I encourage you to have a little experiment as well. See what variants you can find. It's related, isn't it? It's variants, I think. So grab yourself something to press on. Piece of paper. I'm going to show you from a big piece, but it's quite nice doing lots of little ones, and actually the ones that I've made, so just practicing again just now, they will sort of stick out a bit, which is a really nice effect. But for the card there, I had actually glued them down a bit just to flatten things, and then you tend to see the patterns a little bit more, so that might be something that's worth considering. But this is again a nice paper, but I will show you just with plain paper, and I'll colour on one side. So we're going to start with something called the Windmill base, which you may well have made before. I tend not to remember the names of these things, so don't worry if you're the same. You don't need to know names. It's just about being playful. So I'm going to make two squares because we're going to make two different folds here. I'm taking this, I'm just folding it in half, And I encourage you to go slowly. As I said, this is to relax and to enjoy this opportunity. You're giving yourself time, slowing yourself down, and it's all part of the relaxation. So I was nice and neat. You can see I lined up the corners, good strong folds. And then from that, you should then be able to do a nice little nick and tear that off. You could use scissors, but I think it's very pleasing if you do a good strong fold that you can rip it. So we're going to make a square with each of these. So we're going to take a corner and fold it down. I'd love to see what you discover as well. It's just about allowing yourself to be playful. So just making a triangle there. I'm going to remove the rectangle. As you know, with these films, they're all dedicated to my colleagues at UCH Hospital in London, to staff, encouraging them to look after themselves, to do something that can take their mind off everything, and the same obviously for patients too. There we go. So these films are very much about, not just about origami, it's about that attitude and about a bit of company and hopefully a bit of relaxation. So I'm going to take a corner and again bring it down there, line it up. Nice little swash, making a nice little sharp triangle. Something very pleasing about getting everything nice and orderly. And then turning it over and lifting this back. So Froebel also came up with things called Froebel gifts. What a beautiful thing. Again, that feels quite linked to Japan, the idea of gifts. And he invented for very little kids, little babies really. First Froebel gifts would be little softballs, things to play with, and then with time building up to wooden cubes and cylinders. It's all these things that we do think of actually as kindergarten. It's amazing, isn't it? You just take these things for granted, but it was Friedrich Froebel who encouraged that. Let's grab some coffee. So I've got a square. I reckon we should colour these in just so that you can get that effect. So I'm turning them over, opening it up, turning it over. But if you have got any paper that's different colours on different sides, this will be good. But this is just so that you've got some feeling for the pattern. Otherwise, you don't really see it. So a quick bit of colouring, and it's fascinating. Even with this, what we'll be making with this little windmill start. Different people do it in different ways, and I was trying to follow someone else's. I realised it didn't feel that calming. So you kind of find your own way of folding. You'd never think that you could do the same kind of fold in many different ways. So I'm going to show you the one that I find the most relaxing. There we go. So that's one with some colour. There we go, and another over here. Great. Let's wait for the chrysanthemum. Go, little quick bit of colouring in. Very enjoyable. A bit of scribbling before a bit of neat folding. It's a really nice mixture actually. And maybe you could give patterns as well. But this is just so that we'll be able to see what we're doing. And for anyone with origami paper, then you've got different colours and you know which side I'm referring to. There we go, almost there. Maybe this is relaxing in itself. It is for me. Maybe it's for you. There we go. Right, so if we maybe start with folding the lovely chrysanthemum, which looks like a lovely little circle, little flower in there. Chrysanthemum is very special in Japan. It's seen as the royal flower. So that's a really nice one to start with. All right, so I'm going to first of all take this coloured side and I'm going to turn it over to the white side. And I have done one diagonal already. That's great. I'm now going to do the other diagonal as well. There we go. And just feel yourself just focusing entirely. It's a lovely feeling doing origami. You're taking control over something. So we've done our diagonals. Next, I want you to do the horizontal line as well. So I'm doing horizontal line Again, nice and lined up, good sharp folds. You could use a little object if you wish, but I love that it's just simply your fingers. That's all you need, paper and yourself. And again, I'm going to do the other horizontal line. So I did my diagonals and I did my horizontal, and I've just done them all on the same side. That's cool. There's no turning over for this one. Right, so you've got all the different directions there. Next step is to take the outside and bring it to the middle line. You take the outside, fold it to the middle. Great. And now I'm going to take the bottom and bring that to the middle. So hopefully it's all nice and matched up. It's that attention to detail, which also just focuses your mind really well. And the good thing with paper is you can reposition until you're happy with it. There we go. So we've now got what looks like a little cupboard. If I turn it vertically, it's like a little cupboard. I'm now going to take the outside to the middle as well. It's like we're making a little square. So there we go. Bringing that to the middle. And then the outside to the middle as well. That's it. There we go. So hopefully yours is looking like this as well. And we're going to be doing a second one as well for the other design. So here we go. So our next step is to open up one side of the cupboard. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a diagonal line there. Now to do that, we're going to take this side and line it up vertically. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to line it up there. So I'm taking this and I'm lining it up. And be nice and careful, take your time. And then I can just squeeze that down there, like so. And I'm going to do the same with this one. So this line can go to that vertical one. That's it. Quite interesting doing this into a camera. Last week I was doing the Froebel stars and they're really complicated, so trying to do it into a camera was really hard on my brain. Touch wood, this might be possible. There we go. So it's looking like this. Now you should be able to just push it in and squash it down. It's looking rather nice, like a little house, isn't it? Looks like a little house. Again, be playful. That's part of the joy of it. Oh, it could be this or it could be that. It's that transformation, which is all about play and creativity. So we're going to do the same on the other side. So opening up this flap, and again, we want to do a diagonal line. So to do that, I'm going to take this line and line it up with the vertical. There we go. Like so. And again, squeezing that down. Like so. And we're going to do the same with bottom. So this line, lining up there. Maybe I'll do this on a solid surface. See then more clearly what I'm doing. So I'm going to take this line and I'm going to line it up there, which gives that diagonal line. So it gives that diagonal line, and again you should just be able to push it in. Interesting shape. Now you've got these kind of points. You should be able to, I recommend you pushing the point back and folding it there. So this is sort of free. And doing the same to the next one. So bringing this up, it's along again that diagonal line. There we go. I'm going to keep going. So you're doing this on each of these. So just so it can nicely fold there. And I've just got one more side here. There's so much you can do with this. I'll just show you why it's called the windmill fold. Look at this. You can make it into a little windmill shape, like so. But what I want you to do with this one is these little flaps. You can pop your finger in and squash it down, and it will then form to make a square. That's it. So if you do that for each of them, little pocket and squash it down. And again, just remember this is all about being playful, allowing yourself to be playful. And it is a joy to play as an adult, I think. But I wonder whether that's why people enjoy alcohol a lot often, because it can make us a lot more playful. But you can be playful as well anyway, and it does still bring a lot of joy. I think it's something that we need to do a lot more as adults. There we go. It's how we naturally learn, is basically having fun while trying out new things. Having a bit of a laugh. There we go. So we've got this lovely little structure. It's really nice. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take this inside line and we're going to bring it to that diagonal line. So I'm going to lift this up and squash that there. So you can see why I'm only showing you 2 today, because if I showed you all 4, it might be a bit too much time. And the same thing here, this line, bringing it to the diagonal. I might do this on a solid surface. I recommend you do that as well. So you should end up with what looks like a little kite. And again, if you do that, this horizontal to that diagonal line, like so. We're almost there actually. You'll be glad to know. Well, hopefully you're enjoying the process, which is actually what it's all about. It's not really about the end thing. The outside to the diagonal line again. But it is quite amazing how many different folds you can find from this. Let's see. So it's starting with that windmill, and then there's many different things you can experiment from there. So this is just one of many, many. So it's looking like this. And to make that lovely flower shape, is each of these is like a little pocket. So if you pop your finger in and squash it down and keep that lined up, you can see there's a line, keep that all lined up in the middle, squashing it down. And we're going to do that to each pocket. There we go, each side. And as you do this, a lovely little flower is opening up, like so. There we go. You can see Chrysanthemum is revealing itself. I think I need to see what I'm doing again. So there we go. Okay, this takes a nice little bit of focus actually. If you're trying to find with your nail, if you have any, or just take your time. It's lovely how it opens up, and you've got the different colours as well. There we go. So that's our first one, first of many, many, but I'm just going to show you one more after that. So there we go. That's the chrysanthemum. So our next one we're going to do is this one here, like so. And you can see it's sort of popping open. So if you were to just, even with a little bit of Pritt stick, you could keep those a little bit flatter, then you see the pattern a little bit stronger. So that might be worth doing as well if you're going to make lots of them. So to do this, we have got our coloured piece of paper. We've made our square already. I've turned it to the white side, and we're doing the same thing. We're simply folding it in half to make a rectangle, opening it, another rectangle. It doesn't matter whether you start with your diagonals or your horizontal and vertical. Done one. Just going to go over that again. I've done one diagonal. Let's do the other. So basically you've just got a line in each direction. That's your starting point, like so. Our next step is to take the bottom and bring it to the middle line and do that on both those opposite edges. So they meet together like a cupboard, like so. There we go. So it's like a cupboard. I'm going to turn it up so it's like a cupboard. And we're going to take the bottom and bring it to the middle line. And same top, bring it to the middle. So you're making a little tiny, it looks like a little package, a little square. There we go. The colour is all on the outside. There we go. So our next step is again adding those little diagonal lines inside. So opening this up and taking this bottom line and bring it up to the vertical, which is adding this diagonal line. So if we take this and bringing it up so it's lined up there, squashing it down, and doing the same as well for the bottom one. And once you've done that, you will then find that you can simply take the side and squash it down. Makes like a little house. Great. If there's any wrinkles, it can disrupt things, so it's worth get rid of a little wrinkle there. Well, just do your best. That's great. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. So opening the side up, taking this horizontal, and I'm going to bring it to the vertical line. Okay, nice little diagonal. And pressing it down inside, and the same with the other side. Taking it and pressing it down, and then you can push it in, and again get that nice windmill shape. So you can take your flap and just, you're not adding any extra lines, you're simply bringing it along that diagonal line. That's it. And next one, again just lifting it up along that diagonal line, pressing it back and forth a bit so you know it can move around well. And the same with this. So this sort of shape is also called a multiform as well. This idea that it's very flexible and interesting. That's it. So you could keep playing with this. Oh, I could almost imagine it could become a butterfly as well. There's so many things it could become. And feel free to use your imagination on that one. So again, each of these little flaps, you can pop your finger in and squash it down to make a square. And I'm going to do that with each of these. So this is the structure, this square with these little squares inside is the structure that is your starting point for any Froebel square. And then experiment from there about what you fold, and different patterns will be made. And it's just doing the same thing on each of the sides. So to make this one, I don't know what I call this one, but the purple one in this case, I will show you how to do that. So take the inside corner and bring it to the outside. So it's just becoming white now, actually. There we go. And we're going to do that for each of these corners. Now this is actually quite a simple one, you'll see. It's nice. This is a good choice. This was the most popular. Folding this out. And actually it's sort of helping to flatten it down a bit as well. Folding this up. But if you're enjoying the patterns made by the colours, then this is just white, isn't it? So there's definitely more you can do to bring back a little bit of the blue or purple or whatever colours you've got. There we go. Right, how to make this shape. So you can see that we need to reveal some of the colour underneath. So to do that, if you think of this almost as again like a little book, leaf of a book, I want you just to take this corner and bring it to the middle and lined up. Maybe I'll do this. Tilt it down there. So it's flat there, turning the page, and I'm going to take this point and bring it to the middle, keeping it all lined up like so. Okay, a bit tricky to do into the camera. So I took this point and I brought it to that middle line and tried to keep it all fairly lined up. And now if you close it up, can you see it's beginning to give the sides the different colours? So we're going to do this on each of the sides. So again, taking this leaf, and then we're going to take this corner and bring it to the midline. And it's just lovely, the concentration that's needed. And again, trying to keep this all nice and in line. And then you can turn back the page. And can you see you've got that shape? And actually, all you have to do next is take that top corner and fold that down. And that's this pattern that we're making. So I'm going to do this on each side. So again, we're going to take this corner and we're bending it back. So it's easy, just turn the page, take this corner and bring it to the middle line, again keeping it all nice and lined up like so, and then turning it over, and then the same with this one, turning the page, bringing it back to the middle and opening it up, and then simply taking that top flap and folding it down. But as I said, it's more, if you were to glue it down, you'll see the shape more fully. Or you might enjoy that it is kind of open and flowery. So again, taking the page, turning it over, going to bring it to the middle line. I'm sure you're hopefully getting the hang of this now. And it's just variations, just trying out what happens if you fold it from this end or from this bit, or what if I had this fold. It's about allowing yourself to experiment and to play. So it's very in keeping that this is Froebel squares, and from what I can see, kind of educationalists and artists have very much experimented with this, and it's a wonderful tool for creativity. Again, closing that, taking that corner and bringing it back, and again closing that side. Same with this one, turning that page of the book, bringing this corner to that middle line, and then closing it, and then taking the top and folding that down. And hopefully you have managed to make that as well. So that's 2, and I would recommend you just have a play, and you can see how many you could find. I don't know, maybe this was over a few hours of playing around, but and actually there's also quite a few YouTube videos of this as well, so you may find some tips for once you think, how on earth did they do that, and then once you do something, then can arise other ideas. So I hope you have fun folding these, and then have a little play, see what else you find. I will share some others another time. These were other well voted for structures. This one, which other one? There were other ones as well, and this one actually. So maybe I'll show those another time as well. So wishing you some happy folding. I hope you've enjoyed that. Some real time out there. And again, live folds most Wednesdays at 2 as well. So I hope you can join me. Take care. Bye.